Welcome to a special episode of Beauty and the Biohacker. We are going to just have a quick solosode episode here for you guys today. Rachel and I are catching up after some crazy weeks, and we're excited to share some really interesting information with you guys. So I'm Katie Moore. If you're new to the podcast, I am the co-host, the biohacking side of Beauty and the Biohacker. I've got 3+ years of experience self-experimenting on myself, and my YouTube channel, Katie Type A, is where you can see all my product reviews. And of course, we have across the pond on the other big island, we have Rachel Varga. Rachel, why don't you introduce yourself?
What's up, everybody? It's super fun to be hanging out with, my internet bestie here, Katie Moore. I love you so much. If you're new here, my name's Rachel Varga. I'm a board-certified aesthetic nurse specialist with over 10 years in the industry of aesthetic medicine, aesthetic nursing, and also 20,000 rejuvenation procedures later, not on myself, but on my fabulous clients. I help people understand the latest science and innovations to help them just get healthy, great skin and look great from the inside and out using my unique toolkit that we share here on the podcast and on all many other platforms as well.
And don't forget, if you are liking this content, make sure to hit that subscribe on our podcast, on our YouTube channel. And Rachel has the quick notification bell. Can't forget that. So you get updates every time we go live with a new video. So Rachel, what is going on in the world right now? Because things have been.
Why are you putting me on? That's like a huge question.
I know. It's a little bit rhetorical, but it's also it's me just kind of venting to you because I have had my fair share of some crazy, unbelievable technology issues in the last week and a half. My new MacBook Pro literally just died randomly. Didn't get any water in it. Yeah.
Humidity. Because I remember I was in Belize scuba diving with 3 sharks and a SpaceX rocket scientist once, no big deal. And my hard drive, my external hard drive fried and my laptop. So sometimes the humidity can be to blame for that.
Well, it just stopped charging. It just doesn't hold a charge anymore. And I was keeping it pretty safe and we weren't doing anything crazy. My fiance's laptop is fine. Brand new, just kick the can. So that happened. And I was like, that's kind of weird. Then we've had all sorts of car trouble, and we went to go, our rental was up. We're here for another week before we fly back and take care of our apartment in California. And so we were going to rent another car. All of the rentals on the island are completely sold out. We couldn't even get an Uber back to our apartment after the airplane, after dropping it off at the airport. So we dropped our rental car off, couldn't get an Uber. There was none available. We had to take a taxi. We tried to rent a U-Haul truck, one of those little cargo vans, just to have for the week because we figured it would fit our paddle boards. Nothing is available. There are no car sharing sites that have any cars available. We're literally stranded on the Big Island. So I had to run up a 1.5 mile hill yesterday to go to a guy's apartment who was selling his bike. And I literally now have a bike, and that is my only mode of transportation on the island. And goodness knows, I'm just what on earth is going on?
Just be careful not to have too much kava before you hop on that bicycle of yours.
This is true. Yes. I'm limiting my kava to 1 cup a night. It's more of an experiment just to see how it's affecting my REM sleep. So I'm not overdoing the kava thing, but yeah, it's been bananas. And I just can't help but think maybe it has something to do with spring equinox or the new moon, which is coming up. I think it's called the worm moon. And I'm not entirely sure what's going on with technology and the EMF frequencies, but I figured if there's anybody who might be able to shed some light on this situation, it would be Rachel Varga, our very own in-house electromagnetic field technician.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm an electromagnetic field technician, but electromagnetics is one of my strong suits. So I've been told by one of my dear mentors that I've been working with for about 10 years. She's like, you get electromagnetics. All right, so cool stuff that's happening in the world. The LHC B, so LHCb, CERN Large Hadron Collider, only the largest thing that humans have ever made in the history of human civilization that we know of, actually fired back up. And they actually were doing some work with beauty quarks. I didn't even know that there was a subset of like, protons, neutrons, quarks, but like the beauty quark. So I thought that was really cool. I did share that on my social media, nerd alert. One thing I want to talk about is the moons are strong enough to move our tides. So we are highly electromagnetic ionic beings. That's why grounding's so incredible. So where Katie and I live, we can take our shoes off, contact the earth, and we get rid of a little bit too much positivity, which the earth helps to draw out the positive ions from our body so that we get a little bit more balance. And as we've talked about in future episodes, the ionic homeostasis, if you will, is absolutely key for every single mechanism in our bodies. This is not pseudoscience anymore. So there's one thing I want you to look at, Katie, and that is check out the Biorhythm app. So I
Mm.
recently was trained on a device called the BioWell. They are creating a consumer device this year. That's a little insider information. Not too sure if I'm supposed to share that. But anyways, you guys heard it here first. And yes, we're going to talk about this because I personally do test my biofield almost daily. I have been trialing the Somavedic at my house, and I have seen some noticeable changes, especially with the plant life around me. My hubby and I did a blind water taste test. We tested tap water, we tested our filtered water, and then we tested filtered structured water. I could tell the difference. And he could, he couldn't really tell the difference between the filtered water and the filtered structured water. But what I'm talking about here is with the BioWell, this device I use is so sensitive that even with the lunar cycles, it has to be recalibrated, which is really interesting. And it also looks at your biorhythm. So it sees where your biorhythm is. And that's actually considered pseudoscience, but someone did recently win a Nobel Peace Prize in the work and field of the biorhythm. So I would encourage you, Katie, to see where you are. You can just literally plug in your birthday and then see where your biorhythms are. So it analyzes your emotional intelligence, your intellectual intelligence, your intuitive intelligence. And I think there's one other thing there as well. It's almost like the female cycle, but it's actually intertwined with the different cycles and rhythms of the planet. So I'd be curious to see what your biorhythms were doing recently. But sometimes when we have electromagnetic interference, it can actually be a sign that there's something that needs to be released in more of the esoteric woo sense.
So I was going to ask you kind of as a follow-up, what do you do with that information? So if I see what my biorhythm looks like, how do I know how to use that to my advantage so that I'm, being focused and productive on the days I, should be, and I'm taking some rest and relaxation and restorative practices on the other days?
One of the cool things about this type of technology is that it can give you basically energetic awareness as to what's going on with your body before they become physiological diseases that require a diagnosis. And as you guys know, this isn't medical information, it's educational information only. If you think you have a medical condition, you must seek the advice of a proper physician, licensed physician. But what was showing up for me was actually the yin of my liver. And so, what I was able to do with that information was I didn't have alcohol for 3 weeks. And then my liver stopped being on display, and I was actually able to look at my metrics. That being said, I did share my information on my social media. And after that, I actually had a really interesting experience that I had to do some work around to undo. I'm not going to get into the details of that. But when you are a high emitter of energy, you tend to attract stuff, and you have to work really hard at not allowing certain things into your awareness that don't belong there. And so I do recommend that you keep your health and data actually more for just your information. I'm not going to be posting my readings online just because of an experience that I had recently. But it's so cool that we can actually look at the underpinning energetics of our body and see things that are yellow flags before they become red flags. So for me, maybe my liver was just a little bit taxed. So I just straight away cut out alcohol, did some castor oil packs, things like that. Looked at really detoxifying my
Mhm.
body. So there's some huge benefits to this type of energetic healing and technology and detectors.
That's fascinating. I also wonder, because we've talked a little bit about this in the past, Rachel. I am not highly sensitive to EMFs, kind of like you, my mother-in-law. There's a lot of people who are very, they kind of are extremely highly sensitive
It's
when
sort of
they come
like
in contact.
static on our airwaves. That's a great way to
Exactly.
describe it. Not everybody is like that. My husband, he's like,
Yeah.
"What are you talking about, Rachel?" I'm like, "Trust me, I feel it."
That's sort of me. I kind of fall into that camp of where your husband is. So we've come to the big island of Hawaii. There is no 5G. And within a couple of days, some of my neck pain, back pain, hip joint stuff started to go away. So I'm wondering, okay, so I started to experience some of the therapeutic, like, and this is again anecdotal, therapeutic, like healing body physical benefits of not having all of this EMF sensitivity. But I'm wondering how it's affecting my brain, because I'm feeling a little bit of a disconnect with my sort of go-getter type A personality that I had on the mainland of California versus here. And I can't say it's just the beautiful environment. I'm wondering if there is some type of disconnect with the electromagnetic fields around me and my body actually going through a huge detox right now. So that being said, I think I'm gonna have to like do some experimenting around this.
Yeah, and I definitely have some insight into this. When I see you, my internet best friend, I will have my bio with me and I'll do a reading for you and we'll see what's going on with your different energetic markers, your biofields, what even your chakras are doing. It can detect the alignment. So I think
Mhm.
that there's probably just like a bit of a recalibration happening for you and you're feeling it. And what's really cool about you being from California, where it's like high beta, 5G everywhere, rat race kind of deal, and now you're in this different type of climate. Yeah, I think your body is just kind of recalibrating, and the fact that you've had less pain is something for you to definitely pay attention to. So I'm really happy for you that you and Jasper have decided to put your health, make it a priority.
Yeah. So I will keep you posted on how I'm doing. We're actually flying back to California for a tiny bit to close out our apartment. And I'm going to do a bunch of experiments using some EEG devices. And, I'll use the biorhythm and just see how things change. And obviously, we'll report back and maybe we can do a little self diagnostic test after that. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. I know this is a little bit of a shorter episode, but we just kind of wanted, you're just sitting, hanging out with us, two girls on a mission to really help you thrive with your health, your success, your inner and outer beauty. And so these are the kind of things that we just talk about, and we feel like it's worth having you guys as a sort of a fly on the wall. Join in our conversation, and we'd love to hear from you. So make sure to reach out to us at info@beautyandthebiohacker.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we cannot wait to catch you on the next one.